Welcome to today's video. We are reacting to the insane world of obese Disney adults. Today we are joined by a fluffy guy in my lap. This is Blaze here.
Have you been dying to ride Dragon Racers Rally at Universal's Epic Universe, but you weren't sure if you'd fit?
I feel like I asked
never
this
have asked that question.
Videos, but
not
what
once
am I watching
ever.
Here?
Meet Sydney Watson. I noticed her channel just recently, or within a little bit ago, hit 1 million subs. Congrats!
And as per usual, before we
She's awesome. I've watched a ton of her videos before my channel.
So I have been on the internet for a very long time. And the longer that I'm here, the more that I see things that both alarm and confuse me. And the subject of today's video is no exception. I've had my head in a lot of obesity-based topics over the last little while, just because, like, when you find one story, it leads you down the rabbit hole. So, I don't know, expect some more obesity on this channel in the coming weeks. Not from me, though. I go to the gym, where I sit in the corner and then cry about my 5-kilo weights. Now, recently, I learned that there is a group of women called the plus-sized park hoppers. Some of you...
Why is that a sentence that exists in our life? The plus-sized park hoppers?
You may or may not have heard about them already because they've been around for a little while. This is a group of 5 women from Massachusetts here in the US who range
Talk about undateable all in one picture.
2XL to 5XL. Their words, guys, not mine.
Hey everyone, we're plus-size park hoppers, and we range in sizes from 2X to 5X. Make sure you like this video and follow us for more plus-size Disney tips and tricks.
These ladies go to Disney.
Well, at least with their complaining, they're here for a good time, not a long one. So we have that to look forward to.
Disney theme parks every other month to report on what is and isn't accessible to them. Yes, you heard that correctly. Every other month. Yeah, I am not kidding. That's insane that they're going that frequently. Going to theme parks and resorts, and they're reporting back about not being able to fit into chairs. When I tell you, I am tired. These women tell you if you can fit onto specific rides, like if you can get the little bar thing to sit across your belly. Okay.
These seats are molded with a divider that goes between your legs. The safety mechanism is an over-the-shoulder chest restraint that does need to get
she doesn't fit.
To lock. Ashley wears a size 5X and unfortunately was not able to get
the that's obvious.
Which types of obesity scooters to use?
I hope they're not going to try to advocate to get bigger rides, because that would require
and might put a damper on your vacation. For longer trips, one of us always rents a scooter and she's the first to rent to Gold Mobility.
Which is the best
they should just walk.
I just learned this is a thing.
So we really like this Dr.
If they walked more, they would... If they walked more throughout the park, they wouldn't have to be a plus-size park hopper. They could just be a normal one. But there goes all their content.
Rub it on your thighs and it helps stop the friction.
I've never had
We didn't need to know that.
Thankfully, but it's good to know the brand to use in case I ever do. Thank you. They reference where you can park your car if you want to avoid walking. They explain what this red rash on your leg might be and say that it's from exercise, but in reality it's called vasculitis and it would probably go away if you lost some weight, and much, much more. So obviously, if you have been around this channel for any length of time, you will know that I am not a fan of how people have gotten fatter and fatter as the years go on.
The fat epidemic is insane.
Specifically with these people specifically,
it's usually
I don't
the
want to make fun
EBT
of
crowd
them just because they're fat people on the internet doing their thing and having fun. But I do want to talk about them because, like, for one, Disney adults are just incredibly bizarre to me, all on their own. Going to Disney this regularly and making your entire personality a company that has been historically enjoyed by children is something I don't quite understand. I'm prepared to admit that I am a Disney tourist. I like to watch the cartoons sometimes.
You see, I'm a Disney fan in the way of I sit and I watch the Star Wars shows. I'll be watching the new films that are coming out over the next few years. I'll go watch the new Marvel films in theaters. Maybe not all of them, but the ones I'm interested in. But to the fact that, you know, the Disney live-action remakes of anything, those, no, not at all. Those shouldn't exist. They're an abomination, most of them. They've all ruined the lovely animated films we grew up with. Also, Disney could keep the rights and keep storytelling the same bullcrap over and over and over. But
times and watch them to come.
Oh, but if I were to go to a Disney park, I would basically go there. As a Star Wars fan, I'd go and I'd do Galaxy's Edge. And then I would make sure I do everything there because A, there's plenty to do and it's all expensive is the second reason is going to give the answer to the second. And B, I'm never coming back. So I'm going to do it all once. I'll build a lightsaber. I'll build a droid. I'll get on the rides. I'll go to the cantina and drink whatever drinks concoctions they got. Apparently, that's the only place in the parks that sell alcohol.
On this channel about how bad the remakes are. But going to Disneyland or Disney World 1,000 times a year? Really? I don't know, man. That just feels like a really expensive way of saying I'm not in a relationship. But secondarily, and honestly, probably more importantly, I'm troubled by the continued effort to normalize being this huge in life and giving people tips and tricks to
there shouldn't
exist
need
like
to
this.
Get tips and tricks to survive a day at Disney. Like, you should just be able to enjoy your day. You shouldn't be having to try to survive it.
Essentially demanding Disney make efforts to accommodate your obesity, going to a place where you know you can't fit onto any of the rides or very few of the rides, and it's actually probably unsafe if you do so, while also eating insane amounts of food and insanely overpriced food, and somehow trying to act like all of this is normal. It really, really isn't. In case that wasn't obvious. Editor Sydney from the future here, because I forgot to say this when I was recording, but it probably seems like a random ironic coincidence that Cook Unity is the sponsor for this video, but I actually did it deliberately, because as long as we're talking about 50 at cookunity.com/Sydney50.
Jumping ahead.
Now, right out of the gate, these fat Disney park enjoyers get two kinds of responses predominantly. People like me, and probably actually a lot of you who are alarmed and appalled that we have even gotten to this place in society. These are the people who are extremely critical of these women and the content that they are making. And I think we vary.
These are the kind of ladies who'd blame the chair if that breaks while they're sitting on it.
Quite a lot. You know, you have the people who are very mean-spirited in their feedback and criticism, and then you have other people who I think are really funny. I saw that a bodybuilder and former Disney employee called Marie Lopez, who also happens to be married to the host of the podcast Revenge of the Cis, she made some funny videos about this that I thought you guys would like to see.
Have you been dying to ride Expedition Everest at Disney World's Animal Kingdom, but you weren't sure if you'd fit? All of us sizes 2X through 5X are able to ride this ride. Those of us who wear sizes 2X through 4X find this ride to be very comfortable. We hope that these tips help and that you don't get snatched by the Disco Yeti. For entrees, Deanna, Katie, and I all got the filet mignon. Deanna got hers with a side of green bean.
$62 for that little plate? Oh, they are raking anyone over who chooses to eat at their restaurants.
As you might know, she is on a quest to find the best green beans, but she said that these were just okay. I got mine with...
And I bet you none of these portions are big enough for these ladies, so they had to spend even more than that.
Béarnaise sauce and a loaded baked potato. I really enjoyed the steak and the Béarnaise sauce was so good.
Marie got a salad.
It's good. For dessert, Katie got the creme brulee, which was gluten-free.
The juxtaposition is, it's something. Anyway, and probably pretty obviously, the other camp here are the yes queen types that that love to say that this kind of thing is so great because of how inclusive it is.
Can I just say something about the plus size park hoppers really quickly? How evil do you have to actually be to see one of their videos and comment something just heinous?
Easy. I can see that they look like a beached whale, and I think it needs to go for a much longer swim.
Just something so mean and nasty. Like, these girls, not only are they loving life,
bro gets no pussy and would want to bang anything with
sharing their joy and happiness, but they're also helping like a
or he's gay.
Major population of people who might find it very embarrassing or humiliating to want to be able to go on a ride and then the seat not be inclusive to their size.
And these women get so much hate on their videos that's completely undeserved, and some of
completely
it is just
deserved.
flat out cruel. You know, I see a lot of comments kind of bullying them for their weight, and
which you should.
The comment that I see,
you know, I see a lot of guys anyway that when they were bullied for their weight, when they were big, you know, definitely a little too on the heavy side, they got bullied for their weight, and it encouraged them to lose and get their weight down. Lose it and get the weight down. Yeah. Like, I know a handful of them, and I've read a ton of other stories. It's a lot of super inspirational, I think.
All the time is along the lines of like, if you can't fit on a ride, that should be a wake-up call. And that's just wrong to say for a lot of reasons.
I think I got more angry watching the Yes Queen videos that were enabling and justifying all of this than the actual plus-size park hoppers themselves. So I'm not sure what that says, but it says something. If you go on Reddit or other forums, you will see people complaining that they are overweight and are anxious about going to Disney. So there are a lot of people who like and appreciate what the plus-sized park hoppers are trying to do. They are making theme parks feel more accessible. And
being 5'3" at 295 pounds is insane. That's 3 inches shorter than me. I'm short for a guy, but it's almost double my weight.
And less anxiety-inducing, I guess, for obese people. And on this front, I can actually understand this argument, because being fat isn't fun.
You should go to Disney wanting to meet Winnie the Pooh, not look like him.
And it sure as hell isn't fun when you are acutely aware of the fact that the world is not designed for people of your size. You know, like when you are a prisoner in your own skin. But let's remember, human beings can absolutely get this big, but we are absolutely not supposed to be. And I think these women and other fat amusement park content people are 100% proof of that. Personally, I hate all of this because I do view it as an attempt to normalize obesity rather than instructing people and helping people to navigate weight loss and making better choices. Let me show you what I mean. These women have made a bunch of videos explaining how to get your hands on these mobility scooters, due to the fact that when you're fat, walking around is really hard.
Company we trust when it comes to our theme park scooter rental, and that's Gold Mobility. Walking 5 to 10 miles a day can be overwhelming, especially if you're a larger body
when
or
you're
have
that
limited
size,
mobility.
you
If you're
should
afraid
try
this
to
will put
do
a damper
that.
on your long-awaited vacation, there is absolutely no shame in renting an ECV.
But, and I
You
think
should
it
be shamed
goes
for
without
renting it.
saying,
You should be more shamed than being shamed just for the weight itself.
these devices were not designed for fat people. Mobility scooters are for people who are actually disabled, or the elderly, or pregnant women? I don't know, I've never...
Yeah, pregnant women can use them. I could see that if you're having a tough time carrying an extra human. As a guy, I'm not telling a pregnant woman to get off the scooter.
Thought about this. Do you guys need mobility scooters? I have to imagine the babies are heavy. I don't know. These things are not designed for people who have been overeating their entire lives and want an excuse not to walk. In several of their videos about these scooters, they even double up as an ad. Imagine being sponsored by a mobility scooter company because you're too fat to walk long distances. You guys know I am
must be
genuinely
embarrassing.
fine
Although
with
they're
people
not
on
embarrassed
social
by
media
it.
making a buck. I am fine with them working with advertisers and sponsors and all sorts of stuff. I get that bag. I'm fine with that. But, you know, on like a serious note, I think that a gym membership is infinitely cheaper than a mobility scooter.
Oh,
and this goes
1000%.
for other things that they report on too, like food. Are you surprised? Probably
That does
not.
look like a
Of course,
tasty
these
donut.
women have
However,
tons of videos stacking their
it probably
plates
was
with meals
10
from
times
Disney
the cost of a
buffets or
normal
other Disney
donut.
restaurants, or just snacks that they got on the go. I mean, being serious for a minute, between the cost of the mobility scooter and all the food, I feel like being really overweight is quite an expensive exercise. I'm genuinely not trying to be mean. I'm just saying. This is another place where I think it would be worth noting for their viewers how many calories they're consuming, or how many calories this kind of food.
I wish I could get someone to go through all the footage of them in one day, just one day, of what they eat per calorie intake, and then also drinks too. They probably don't drink water. They're probably drinking soda. So that adds a lot of liquid calories too.
has, that eating like this is okay sometimes, you know, when you're on a holiday or, you know, doing something a little bit naughty, but it's not an all the time thing. But rather than acknowledging that and, you know, referencing that maybe there are better food options, they just eat and eat and eat and eat. And it sort of feels reminiscent of this horrible overconsumption culture that we have cultivated as a result, particularly here in the United States, of huge portion sizes, but also
That's one guy I did not expect to turn his life around after his content was basically eating himself to death for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden he doesn't upload, uploads him at like half the weight. I don't care if he used Ozempic or whatever to lose it. He went through and did it, and from what I've seen later on so far, I believe he's kept it off from what I remember. He's been able to keep it down and not being so big.
Turning eating itself into some sort of like online spectacle, so to speak. And if watching this type of thing makes you uncomfortable, it should, because eating this much and being this overweight is not normal. I also think what made me extra angry about all of this was this TikTok dietitian's response to this content, where she basically downplays how terrible it is and says that Disney is a once-in-a-lifetime thing, so eat what you want.
Honestly, it looks like a bunch of people enjoying themselves at
She
Disney
doesn't know their content. If this was only the one time, then yeah, 100%. But they go every other month. They go 6 times a year.
Fun foods on offer. Just like any other Disney influencer or even just like Disney goer would be doing. When I went to Epcot for the first time,
I really hope after this video we get to see a video of her finding out that they do this so much more often than the video suggests, and she changes her tune.
My day of eating looked identical to that. And yet no one would give a Disney
TikTok
isn't
dietitian, everyone.
Life. In fact, for many families, it is a once-in-a-lifetime trip. So what you eat at Disney isn't going to be your everyday routine.
Wow, that's so crazy, because this isn't the first time at all that they're trying this food. It's almost like they do this repeatedly, like it's their whole shtick, and they go to these places repeatedly. I don't usually like insulting people directly, but this woman's an idiot. Someone bring her to me so I can call her a slut. One of the other things I found out that I genuinely hate about this plus-size park hopping content is complaining about innocuous things that aren't accommodating or accessible to these people. Like literal chairs.
The seating here consists of only tables and chairs without arms. In this episode of If I Fits, I Sits, we had dinner at Toledo. This Spanish-inspired restaurant is located in the Grand Destino Tower at Disney's Coronado Springs. The seating here consists of tables with chairs without arms.
These women started an entire series on TikTok called If It Fits, I Sits, and it basically documents whether or not they can fit into
so that would be the best idea for anyone wanting to make a restaurant and exclude these guys.
Around the parks as well.
Get your seats with armrests so that they can only be so big. And then if they can't fit in your chair, they just don't eat there.
Especially if you don't want to get all of your steps in.
That might be a way to make a lot of money, is to make your chairs big enough for them.
You don't want to get steps in before you go to the park. Even testing
These people
out
are so
whether or not
lazy.
they fit in the ride seats themselves is a huge
If being lazy was a competition, they would come in first.
Part of this kind of content. I found out through making this video that Disney has tester seats where people can go and sit in a fake seat to make sure that they'll fit in the real ones. And I am
Yeah, usually those tester seats aren't for people who are too big. Usually it's the other end of the spectrum where it's for a kid and they're probably too small.
Promising you now, these don't exist because of tall people or short people. They will be here almost exclusively, I am sure, for fat people.
Have you been dying to ride Test Track at Disney World's Epcot, but you weren't sure if you'd fit?
I know I can fit. I don't need a tester seat. So
I never need a tester seat.
I sent one of my friends one of the videos that I was using here because I was alarmed after seeing it. And she pointed out the sign in the background of one of the shots that says, "Test this seat before riding. The seating and restraints on this attraction may prohibit some guests of certain body shapes and sizes from riding." Did I not just tell you that this exists exclusively for fat people? This is code for obese people can't fit. So no getting flung around in the air for you. Honestly, I'm glad that they have test seats because I think that it's actually a hazard for obese people to
My
get
eyes
on
were
theme
just
park
assaulted
rides,
by that
but
scene.
it's genuinely sad that this even needs to be the case. In this video,
when your body ran out of room on your gut to store fat, so it started putting it on your arm and giving you a second chin. You know you're too bad. You need to go back. We need to go back. Noah, get the Death Star. Screw the boat. We're going off planet.
So hard to push the little securing bar thing down. He's using his entire body. And it's actually not just these plus-size park hoppers making these seats.
And to be honest, these seats, if you're forcing them down, they're not supposed to be almost you can't fit. They should be they should have a little play in them. If they don't have any play, then technically you are too big. Roller coasters and rides weren't made for big people. They were made for the smaller people and normal average-sized ones. Like,
videos. There are tons of them on social media where people complain about these not being accessible. Fam, they're not supposed to be accessible because you're not supposed to be the size of Maine. So of course, I have two primary issues here, and the first is safety. Because if you are this fat,
ding, ding, ding.
I think this is unsafe. If you are trying to ride rides this fat, I think that is hazardous, not only to you, but also to the people around you. A woman on TikTok even told a convoluted story that was a little confusing about how she was put into a ride and fit in there. And she sort of describes how she has a stomach fat flap, and that is what the seat bar was pushed on top of. So when the ride was actually in motion, her stomach flap flipped up over the bar so that she had this big space between her and the bar that was supposed to be holding her in place, and she felt like she was not secured and she was going to fall out of the ride and die. This is not a description that I ever thought that I'd be giving, but here we are.
Like the fat that I have is like that, the pooch where it's just kind of like an overhang, do you know what I mean? But underneath that, like I'm skinnier underneath my little pooch, right?
Huh? I'm learning new terms.
And so keep that in mind when you're thinking about this story, okay? Because what happened...
Is she a fucking kangaroo? She's got a pooch. She's got a pooch.
Is that when we get up and we're on that like the little loop, that go, like it shoots you up really fast, and then you sit up here up on this loop right here, and then you go down. When we started to go down, I was not tight enough. Okay.
Yeah.
That fat that she pushed down on there, my fupa, right? It came loose.
Well, that wasn't definitely the word she meant to say.
Up in the air. That fat went over that bar. So now at this point, there is like a gap from like this much gap from me and the device that's supposed to be holding me in.
And second, and I really mean it when I say that I'm not trying to be
you were too big for that ride.
But if you are going to take the time to go to a theme park, especially if you're flying in or you're driving in or whatever, you're going to go to the theme park, you're going to spend tons of money at that theme park. You're going to do a bunch of walking, you're going to go on the rides, you're going to make memories with your family. Why would you do all of that without putting in the effort to lose a bit of weight so that you can enjoy it better? Why the hell are you expecting the theme park to accommodate you rather than you bettering yourself so that you can have a better time? It genuinely makes me so angry because it screams entitlement, and I'm so sick of entitled people. I can't even imagine spending the time and money to go to a theme park knowing full well the entire time that it's going to be a...
Americans have had life so easy, and as an American, I also have had life on easy mode. But there are some of us who have never had a single bit of struggle in our lives. I've had some struggle, not as much as others, but we're not comparing here. There are some people who have had no struggle and just think that everything is supposed to go their way. They're supposed to have these things. I was deprived of this as a child, so now I deserve it as an adult. No one's deserving of anything. The only thing everybody deserves each day in, day out is to get food and sleep.
Struggle, and then proudly getting on the internet and informing other people of this struggle like it's somehow everyone else's fault. Interestingly, I also found another account of one of these amusement park fat people, and with relation to not fitting in seats, someone asked,
he's drinking them sugary Dunkin' drinks. Let's see. Can't really see
him why this isn't a wake-up call.
But he's drinking a sugary drink on the way in.
He promises himself that he'll lose weight, but the quote-unquote motivation never outlasts his hunger. I hate it here. Which honestly makes me just want to throw hands. Because, dude, what do you mean? I think the bottom line here is that there is a huge, pun not intended, but welcomed, accountability issue with topics like this, because, again, people would rather find tips and tricks to exist in this state of obesity rather than actually making time, effort, and putting energy into losing weight. Also, as a total aside, I can't even imagine getting a job at Disney and expecting that you're going to be dealing with all these cute little kids and then seeing...
Yeah. Imagine being a Disney employee. You're expecting to get kids and parents of kids, maybe grandparents instead of the parents that they're taking them out for the day. And then you get these land whales walking in, size 2X to 5X. Like, why did the hippo come in here?
This parade of obese Disney adults and just being like... To be clear, if you are...
We really need to bring back bullying of everybody. Everybody deserves to be bullied a little bit. Not necessarily a mean manner, but in a manner that is designed so that you can improve yourself, maybe, and have a benefit from the bullying.
Are overweight and you are trying to lose weight, I think you're pretty cool, because that's not easy. Not in a day and age where food is poison and we're sedentary and people act like going to the gym and eating healthy is some sort of wild achievement. So if that is you, more power to you, and I think that is really cool. But as far as these fat amusement park people go, before the woke times crashed into us and consumed us all, people seemed to understand that not everything was made or meant for them. But somewhere along this weird and awful path of fat acceptance and body positivity, we seem to have lost that ancient wisdom. For a lot of fat activists and their allies,
that's a saying I'll never get tired of thinking of. It's oxymoron. As a fat activist, you're not very active if you're fat. You can't be an activist if you're too fat to be active.
There's this idea here that this is all about equality, that fat people, obese people, should be able to enjoy the same things as skinny people, including theme park rides. Personally, I'm not super sure what's enjoyable about having metal bars cutting into your fat rolls while you're thrown about on a ride, but you do you. I'm not sure what's enjoyable about getting vasculitis, because walking around a theme park for a few hours is akin to running a mini marathon for some people. Life is definitely not more or equally enjoyable when you are morbidly obese. It is painful, it is expensive, and yes, you are going to be excluded from doing some things that skinny people can do. And
also, you have a much higher likelihood of dying sooner. Getting different sicknesses and illnesses that skinny people don't get is my words just tried to go all at the same time. You know, as a smaller, normal-sized individual, I do have a little bit of fat in my tummy, but it's not anything I can't work off by just going back to the gym. There are some of these people that they're gonna have to, if they were to want to lose this weight now, they would have to make a lifelong change. They would have to change up their diet, their habits, and not just their eating habits, but the habits that they have for what they do in life. They're going to have to go outside more. They're going to have to sit down less. They're going to have to actually exercise.
That's not the fault of anybody else. No one's oppressing you. Society is not built to oppress you. It's because these people have built prisons out of their own skin. Not the skin, sorry, out of their own fat. Tired me is just envisioning an actual prison, like, built out of fat.
I get it too.
That's horrifying. Ugh. Ultimately, as much as people like this seem to want the world to accommodate them, I think it's pretty clear that they fundamentally lack the desire and motivation to do the things that will better themselves so that they can actually exist in the world normally. In the end, it genuinely upsets me that there is this cohort of people who have deliberately and intentionally handicapped themselves while acting like they're on the same level of equivalence to people who have actual disabilities through no fault of their own, who ask for very little. And while I definitely believe that these people are adults and are free to exist however they so choose, I am incredibly upset by this ongoing attempt to normalize obesity.
I also don't have any problem with fat people. As long as you choose to be fat and you know that things are going to be different with your life will probably be shorter. You'll have shortness of breath just by moving every so little bit, every so often. You're going to feel like you need to eat more food to be satisfied and full, or to feel full more often. So you're going to always be, like my dog, and chewing. So it's like, there are options. There are things you can do to avoid that life. But if you are going to, just don't complain about it. Like, why do we got to complain about every little thing? That when you feel it wasn't made for you, you don't have the realization that no, it wasn't made for you. And some things can't be made for people of that size without going through a redesign of the entire thing. I'm sure there are some roller coasters and rides that could be swapped out for a larger seat. Maybe a bench style seat. But that would also decrease the quality in the ability of some rides. Some rides need you to have a full over shoulder down the crotch strap where your legs will have to be spread a bit for the seat to hold you in nice and safely, because when you'll spin upside down, it wants to make sure you're holding in, and when the ride stops and you're ready to get off, you're still in your seat.
To the wider population. I am sorry that theme parks don't feel like they are accommodating your obesity, but honestly, they probably shouldn't be. Now, on that very happy and pleasant note, and before I open the floor to all of you, this is just a reminder to check out Cook Unity using the link in the description.
Right.
I am a big fan of the meals that they sent me. This issue where you think that this plus size park hopping thing is working to normalize obesity further? Do you think that it's really not that big of a deal, and it's
we don't need to normalize it?
Thing that these girls are doing that they enjoy, and they're actually making content that might help other people who are not fat? Although I do agree with that one too. I do think some of this probably helps non-fat people. Do you think that this is a good thing? Do you think that it's a bad thing? Do you think that it's fair that people pick on them all the time? Do you think that they're opening themselves up for this sort of criticism?
They 100% are opening themselves up to ask for it.
Themselves. What do you think of theme parks making all of these concessions?
These people doing this kind of content, in my eyes, it's the same as the people who do like shock content, where you're just like, oh my god, what did I just look at? Kind of things, where, you might see a beheading or something like that. Like, yeah.
For fat people, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Should we be trying to push fat people out of these environments and try to kind of unfairly encourage them to lose weight like this? And what do you generally make?
We bring back bullying. That's how we encourage them to lose weight. We bully the weight off of them.
Of this issue overall. As always, if you have made it this far in the video, congratulations. I always like having you along for the full ride. If you are new here and you are not subscribed already and you'd like to see more of me and more of this kind of content, feel free to subscribe to the channel, as well as leaving this video a like and a comment, because I do read the majority of them and I like hearing your feedback. Of course,
we will leave that a like, and you should leave me a like.
And well, and make good choices in the interim, and I will see your wonderful little prickly pair of faces in the next video.
Yeah, that was Sydney Watson, The Insane World of Obese Disney Adults. Link for her video will be in my description, and you have a wonderful day.